Her ex chose the biggest night of her career to humiliate her. Zara Ashanti stood in front of 300 art collectors, gallery owners, and critics at Manhattan's most prestigious emerging artist exhibition. This was her moment and one shot. And Sylvester, her boyfriend of 3 years, announced their breakup, right there, in front of everyone. "I'm done," he said, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "Zara and I are over. I'm with someone who actually has talent and befits me." He pointed at Sabrina Whitmore, who smiled like she'd just won a prize. The room gasped, whispers here and there. Every influential person in New York's art world watched Zara fall apart. Then came the auction. The worst part of it, nobody bid on Zara's work. Not one hand went up. "Going once for $5,000, the auctioneer said weakly. Silence. Going twice. And then a voice cut through the room like a blade. $150,000. Every head turned. A man stood at the back. Korean, tall, expensive suit. The kind of presence that made the entire room hold its breath. "And I'll take 3 more at the same price," he said calmly. $600,000. For Zara's art. Sylvester's face went red. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Without thinking twice, he swung at the stranger. The man caught his wrist mid-punch and twisted it. The crack echoed through the gallery. Sylvester screamed, collapsing with a broken arm. The stranger turned to Zara, looked her in the eyes, and said quietly, "Your work is extraordinary. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Then he walked to the center stage, aura oozing with every step. Before we unravel who this man is, and what saving her career results to, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications, because what happens next? You are not ready. It shows the extent some human will go just to pull others down and what happens when they meet their match. Her name was Zara Ashanti, and 6 hours earlier she'd arrived at the Apex Gallery with her stomach in knots and her hands shaking. This exhibition was everything, a showcase of emerging artists competing for the attention of collectors who could change lives with a single purchase. Zara's 5 paintings hung on the wall, bold explorations of Black womanhood, resilience, and beauty. Years of her soul poured onto canvas. She stood in front of them, trying to breathe. "You actually showed up." Zara turned. Sylvester stood behind her, hands in his pockets. 3 years of him telling her she wasn't good enough, that she was lucky to have him, that nobody else would want her. She wondered what he was doing here all of a sudden, but she'd kept painting anyway because her determination is more than any criticism. "Of course I showed up," Zara said. "This is the most important night of my life." Sylvester glanced at her work, then shrugged. "Competition looks serious, not for your kind. Don't get your hopes up." He gestured across the room to one of her competitors' paintings, Claire Whitmore's paintings, saying it is technical, attractive, and exactly what collectors loved. "I'm just glad to be here," Zara said, trying her best not to be intimidated. Sylvester walked away, and Zara noticed something that made her chest tighten. He stopped next to a woman who wasn't her, Sabrina Whitmore, Claire's older sister, standing too close and smiling too intimately. Zara pushed the thought away. Not tonight. The gallery filled with Manhattan's elite, collectors in tailored suits, critics with notebooks, gallery owners who could make or break careers. Zara watched them move through the space, pausing at paintings, whispering to each other. Some stopped at her work. A few nodded. Most moved on. Then the auction began. The auctioneer started with Claire Whitmore's landscape. "Opening bid at $5,000. Hands shot up. The price climbed fast. $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. Sylvester stood. $15,000. The room turned. He smiled. For Claire Whitmore's Serenity at Dusk, a truly exceptional piece from a truly exceptional artist. "Sold?" Applause rippled through the crowd. Zara felt sick. Sylvester had never bought her art, not once in 3 years. The auctioneer moved on. Next, Zara Ashanti's Unbroken, opening at $5,000. Silence. Zara's throat closed. $5,000 for this powerful work. The auctioneer tried again. Nothing. And then Sylvester stood again. Actually, before we continue, I have an announcement. Zara's blood ran cold. Zara and I are done. It's over and I don't want to be associated with her in any way. Gasps exploded. Every eye turned to Zara. Sylvester gestured to Sabrina. I'm with Sabrina now. Honestly, it's a relief. Zara was never going to make it. Her work is mediocre, but let's be real. She's nothing compared to Claire, and I'm here to support real talent. Scattered laughter, cruel whispers. Sabrina smiled viciously. Better luck next time, Zara. Oh wait, there won't be one. Zara stood frozen, tears burning behind her eyes. Every important person in New York's art world was watching her break. The auctioneer cleared his throat. Shall we continue? Silence. Nobody raised a hand. Going once for 5,000. Zara wanted to disappear. Going twice. And that's when it happened. $150,000. The room went dead silent. A man at the back, Korean, mid-30s, immaculate charcoal suit. His presence commanded the entire space. He walked forward slowly. The crowd parted like water. The auctioneer stammered. Did you say 150,000? The man repeated, his voice calm as steel. For unbroken. And I'll take 3 more of Ms. Ashanti's pieces. Same price. The room exploded. Shouts, camera flashes, people pulling out phones. That's $600,000. That is record-breaking for a debutante in this gallery. Zara's knees nearly buckled. Sylvester's face twisted with rage as he failed to process what was unfolding. Who dared to come through for someone he planned to embarrass? Who the hell do you think you are? The stranger turned slowly. His expression was ice. Someone who recognizes talent. Sylvester lunged forward, fist flying. The stranger caught his wrist mid-swing. One twist, fast and precise. Crack. Sylvester's scream echoed through the gallery. He collapsed, clutching his arm, face white with shock. My arm! You broke my arm! Security rushed in but calm when they saw who was in action. Sabrina shrieked. The stranger straightened his jacket calmly and turned to the auctioneer. Complete the sale. My assistant will transfer funds within the hour. Then he walked to Zara. She stood frozen, tears streaming, unable to speak. He stopped in front of her. His eyes were intense but kind. Your work is extraordinary, he said quietly. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I don't know how to thank you, Zara whispered. You don't need to. You earned this. And then he turned, gave Sylvester a deadly glare and walked out. Security escorted Sylvester away, his screams fading. Sabrina followed, pale and shaken. Gallery owners swarmed Zara immediately. I want to represent you. We need a solo show. My clients will pay double. She'd won. By a landslide. But Zara couldn't focus on any of it. She was staring at the door where the stranger had disappeared. Who was he? Hours later, Zara sat in her tiny studio apartment and staring at her phone in disbelief. Her name was trending. Articles were being written. Gallery owners were calling, emailing, begging for meetings. Her life had changed in one night. Then a knock at the door. A courier stood outside with an envelope. Delivery for Zara Ashanti. Inside was a business card. Luxury and expensive aesthetics. Kwon Jae-Sung CEO, Kwon Global Enterprises. On the back, a handwritten note. Your art deserves to be seen. Let's talk. A phone number below. Zara's hand shook as she typed his name into her laptop. The search results made her breath stop. Kwon Jae-Sung, billionaire CEO and real estate mogul. Net worth $6.7 billion verifiable wealth. One of the most powerful men under 40. Photos of him with world leaders. Articles about his empire spanning 3 continents. A construction company building sports complexes, skyscrapers, entire city districts. He wasn't just rich, he was untouchable, and he'd stood up for her. Zara stared at the card, her heart pounding. Why would someone like him help someone like her? She had nothing, no connections, no wealth, but he spent over $500,000 on her work without blinking. He'd broken Sylvester's arm like it was nothing. He'd looked her in the eyes and told her she was extraordinary. Zara picked up her phone, staring at the number. Her thumb hovered over the call button. She took a breath and dialed. It rang once, twice. Then a voice answered, deep, calm, and composed. Ms. Ashanti, I was hoping you'd call. Zara's heart raced. Mr. Kwon, I wanted to thank you for what you did tonight. You don't need to thank me, but I do want to talk. Are you available tomorrow? My office. By noon. Yes, I'll be there. Good. I'll send a car. He hung up. Zara sat in the silence of her apartment, the business card still in her hand. Tomorrow, she'd meet the man who'd changed her life. Next morning, Zara stood in front of the glass tower in Midtown Manhattan, craning her neck to see the top. Kwon Global Enterprises occupied the entire 52nd floor. She confirmed the number on the card once again. Now, standing in the lobby, Zara felt completely out of place in her simple black dress and worn leather jacket. She still hasn't gotten over the life-changing money she got, nor decided what to do with it. So wardrobe shopping wasn't top of the list right now. Everyone here looked like they belonged in a magazine. Tailored suits, designer bags, confidence radiating from every pore. Zara took a deep breath and stepped into the elevator. The 52nd floor was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, minimalist furniture, quiet efficiency. A young woman greeted her immediately. Ms. Ashanti, Mr. Kwon is expecting you. Follow me, please. They walked through the office. Employees glanced up, curious, then quickly looked away. The assistant stopped at a massive door. Go ahead. Zara stepped inside. The office was breathtaking. Windows on 3 sides. The city sprawled below like a living map. And standing by the window, hands in his pockets, was Kwon Jae-Sung. He turned when she entered. Ms. Ashanti, thank you for coming. Thank you for everything, Zara said, her voice shakier than she wanted. Jae-Sung gestured to a seating area. Please, sit. They settled into leather chairs. Jae-Sung poured tea from a pot that looked older than Zara. I'll be direct, he said. I bought your art because it's exceptional, but I also want to commission more pieces for my properties in Seoul and Busan. Zara blinked. You want to commission me? Yes. Through my influence, the international sport authorities are building an ultra-modern sports complex in Busan, my hometown. It's going to host international ice hockey championships. I want your art throughout the facility, something that represents strength, resilience, the human spirit. Zara's mind spun. I don't understand. You don't even know me. Why would you? Because I know talent when I see it. Jae-Sung's gaze was steady. And I know bullies when I see them, and I fancy letting bullies regret their actions for the rest of their life. Zara looked down at her hands. Sylvester. You mean Sylvester. He tried to destroy you in front of everyone at the most important moment of your career. That's not love. That's being inhumane. Tears burned behind Zara's eyes. He's been telling me for 3 years that I wasn't good enough, that I'd never make it. I almost believed him. But you didn't, Jae-Sung said quietly. You kept creating. You kept fighting. That takes strength most people don't have. They talked for hours. Jae-Sung told her about the Busan project, a state-of-the-art sports complex that would put his hometown on the international map, a promise he'd made to the people who raised him. Zara told him about her art, her struggles, the years of working 3 jobs while Sylvester undermined her at every turn. And somewhere in that conversation, something shifted. On a connection neither of them expected. When Zara finally left, the sun was setting over Manhattan, and she felt lighter than she had in years. But across town, in a luxury apartment overlooking Central Park, Sylvester was plotting revenge. His arm was in a cast. His pride was shattered, and he wanted to retaliate so bad. Sabrina paced in front of him, equally furious. That man humiliated us, in front of everyone. I know who he is, Sylvester said, scrolling through his phone with his good hand. Kwon Jae-Sung, Korean billionaire, real estate mogul. So what do we do? Sylvester smiled, cold and cruel. We make him regret ever getting involved. This isn't Korea, and he is about to learn there are levels to power play. He made a call. Richard, it's Sylvester Kane. I need a favor. Richard Langford was a man who didn't like being told no. At 62, he'd built an empire through ruthless business deals and powerful connections, politicians, investors, and corporate titans. He is a big fish, and he owes Sylvester some favor. When Sylvester explained what happened at the gallery, Langford's interest was piqued. Kwon thinks he's untouchable because he's got money, Langford said, swirling whiskey in his glass. But money isn't everything. Influence and power is, and perhaps this isn't his usual playing ground. Can you help us? Sabrina asked. Langford smiled. Oh, I can do better than that. I'm a stakeholder in the team that grants Kwon's Busan project, and I have friends who can make his life very difficult. And that kick-started the turbulence. Over the next 2 weeks, and Jae-Sung's business empire came under attack. Key investors suddenly pulled out of deals, citing concerns. Suppliers delayed shipments. Regulatory agencies launched investigations into projects that had been approved months ago. His CFO called an emergency meeting. Sir, we're losing money. It's so fast. Someone's coordinating this. Jae-Sung's jaw tightened. I know who. But he didn't flinch. He continued supporting Zara, commissioning her work, introducing her to influential collectors in Seoul and New York, ensuring her career flourished. Zara noticed the strain, dark circles under his eyes, tense phone calls he took in another room. This is because of me, isn't it? She asked one evening in his office. Jae-Sung looked up from his laptop. This is because of them. Not you. But they're targeting you because you helped me. And I'd do it again. His voice was firm. I don't negotiate with bullies, Zara. Ever. Zara's chest tightened. Nobody had ever stood up for her like this. Then Langford played his final card. He called Jae-Sung directly. Kwon, we need to talk. I'm listening, Jae-Sung said coldly. Your Busan project, the sports complex. I have influence with Alexander Park, the man who approves the final location. One word from me, and that complex gets relocated. Away from Busan, you'll lose tens of millions in sunk costs, and you'll break your promise to your hometown. Now tell me how that sounds. Jae-Sung's hand tightened on the phone. All you have to do is cut ties with the artist, Langford continued. Stop supporting her. Let her fade into insignificance where she belongs. Do that when your project stays on track. Silence. Are you seriously willing to lose $125 million project over some woman? Langford pressed. Jae-Sung's voice was ice. I'm willing to lose everything before I let you dictate my life. You're making a mistake. No, you are. Jae-Sung hung up, tensed, because it was not even about the money alone. Of course he is rich enough. But it is about the international body's approval. Bringing the approved ultra-modern sport complex to Busan was what he promised his people, and nothing else would matter. Zara was in Jae-Sung's office when the call came through from Alexander Park's office. The project location was being reviewed. Possible relocation, final decision pending. Jae-Sung's face went pale. He was shocked to realize these people are really pulling the strings to mess up this project, which will definitely affect lots of things. What does that mean? Zara asked. It means Langford just activated his backup plan. Jae-Sung ran a hand through his hair. If they relocate the complex, I lose everything I've invested. And I break my promise to Busan, it will really hurt my image and my brand. Zara felt sick. This is my fault. No. Jae-Sung's voice was sharp. This is Langford's fault and Sylvester's and everyone who thinks they can bully people into submission. But you're going to lose everything because you helped me. Jae-Sung stepped closer, his eyes intense. I chose to stand by you, and I don't regret it. You should, Zara whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm not worth this. Yes, you are. The way he said it made Zara's heart stop. That night, alone in her apartment, Zara made a decision. She couldn't let Jae-Sung lose everything because of her. She had to find a way to fix this. She opened her laptop and started researching Alexander Park obsessively. Sports development executive, former Olympic committee member, passionate art collector. And then she found it, a photo from 6 months ago. Alexander Park at his daughter's college graduation, Hana Park, now 19 years old, professional ice hockey player, just signed with the New Jersey Titans. Zara's heart raced. She read everything she could find about Hana. Rising star, fierce competitor, making her professional debut in 2 weeks, and her father was incredibly proud. Zara looked at her blank canvases in the corner of her studio. She knew what she had to do. For the next week, Zara worked like she'd never worked before. 2 paintings, both massive, both breathtaking. She poured her heart and soul into it. The first, a portrait of Alexander Park, dignified, powerful, capturing the passion and integrity in his eyes. The second, Hana Park mid-game, stick raised, ice flying, power and grace frozen in motion. When they were finished, Zara carefully photographed them, packaged them, and sent them to Alexander Park's office with a simple note. For a father who builds dreams and a daughter who chases them. Then she waited. 3 days passed. Zara barely slept, barely ate, and then her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered with shaking hands. Hello? Ms. Ashanti? A man's voice, warm but authoritative. This is Alexander Park. Zara's heart stopped. Mr. Park. These paintings, Alexander said, his voice thick with emotion. They're extraordinary. My daughter cried when she saw hers. She's never seen herself portrayed like that. So powerful, so alive. I'm so glad, Zara whispered. Tell me, how did you know what to paint? Because this really captured my heart. I researched you both. I saw how much you love her, how proud you are. I wanted to capture that. Silence. Then, is there anything I can do for you, Ms. Ashanti? Zara took a deep breath. Actually, yes. And that kickstart the turning point. Jae-Sung was in a board meeting when his phone buzzed. A text from Zara. Can you meet me? It's important. He excused himself and called her immediately. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, Zara said, and he could hear the smile in her voice. I think I fixed it. Fixed what? The Busan project. Meet me at your office in an hour. I'll explain everything. When Jae-Sung arrived, Zara was waiting with her laptop. What did you do? He asked. Zara turned the screen toward him, an email from Alexander Park. Subject, Busan Sports Complex, final approval. Mr. Kwon, after careful review, the original Busan location for the sports complex has been retained and approved. Construction may proceed as planned. Additionally, I'm transferring the construction contract to a developer of Ms. Ashanti's choosing. She's requested your firm. Documents attached. Congratulations. Alexander Park Jae-Sung stared at the screen, speechless. The contract is worth $125 million, Zara said quietly. It's yours. Langford's completely cut out. How did you— Jae-Sung's voice cracked. How did you do this? Zara explained. The research, the paintings, the presentation, and the hope. When she finished, Jae-Sung just stared at her. You saved my project, he finally said. You saved me first, Zara said simply. I was just returning the favor. Jae-Sung pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. You're incredible, he whispered. Do you know that? Before Zara could respond, Jae-Sung's phone rang. He pulled back, glanced at the screen, and his expression hardened. It's Langford, he answered on speaker. Kwon. Langford's voice was tight, furious. What did you do? I didn't do anything, Jae-Sung said calmly, but someone very talented did. You stole my contract. No, you lost it. There's a difference. Langford's breathing was ragged. This isn't over. Yes, Jae-Sung said quietly. It is. He hung up. Zara looked at him, her heart pounding. Do you think he'll retaliate? Jae-Sung's expression was grim. He's more of a toothless lion now. Richard Langford's empire started falling bit by bit, and it collapsed in less than a month. The construction contract he'd been counting on, the one worth $125 million, was gone, transferred to Kwon Global Enterprises. Without that massive payout, Langford couldn't cover the corporate loans he'd taken out, loans he'd leveraged against future earnings that would never come. His creditors came calling. Within 2 weeks, Langford was forced to liquidate assets, his properties, his investments, his reputation. The business world watched with fascination as one of New York's most powerful investors fell from grace, all because he targeted an innocent and powerless person, and the people he'd dragged into his vendetta fell with him. Sylvester lost his job first. His consulting firm, partially funded by Langford, went under when Langford's assets were frozen. Sabrina's social circle evaporated overnight. Nobody wanted to associate with the woman who'd hitched her wagon to a sinking ship. Her sister Claire's art career stalled. Gallery owners who'd been interested suddenly stopped returning calls after they saw the light. She wasn't even an original creator. Within a month, Sylvester and Sabrina were toxic, unemployed and humiliated. Everything they'd tried to do to Zara had come back on them tenfold. Zara watched the news coverage from Jae-Sung's penthouse, wrapped in a blanket, a cup of tea warming her hands. "They're finished," Jae-Sung said, sitting beside her. "I almost feel sorry for them," Zara said quietly. "That is because you are more humane, but don't." Jae-Sung's voice was firm. "They tried to destroy you. They tried to destroy us. They earned every bit of this." Zara nodded. He was right. But still, watching people fall so completely was jarring. "What happens now?" she asked. Jae-Sung smiled. "Now? We build." 3 months later, Zara stood in the Busan sports complex construction site, hard hat on her head, watching crews pour the foundation. The complex was massive, state-of-the-art, designed to host international ice hockey championships and become a cultural landmark. Jae-Sung stood beside her, his hand resting on the small of her back. "This is incredible," Zara breathed. "This is ours," Jae-Sung corrected. "None of this would be happening without you." Zara turned to look at him, amazed by how he is always acknowledging her. Over the past 3 months, their relationship had deepened in ways she'd never expected. Late nights talking in his office, quiet dinners where they shared their fears and dreams, moments where words weren't necessary. Just presence. "I still can't believe this is real," Zara said. "Months ago, I was standing in a gallery being humiliated, and now you're one of the most sought-after artists in New York and Seoul," Jae-Sung finished. "Your work is in museums. Collectors are bidding against each other for your pieces. You did that, Zara. You." Tears pricked her eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you." "We helped each other," Jae-Sung said simply. "That's what partnership looks like." The word settled between them. Partnership. It felt right. That evening, they flew back to New York. Zara had an exhibition opening at one of Manhattan's most prestigious galleries, her second solo show in 3 months. The gallery was packed. Collectors, critics, influencers. But this time, Zara wasn't terrified. She stood in front of her paintings, bold, powerful explorations of strength, resilience, and love, with her head held high. Jae-Sung stood beside her, his presence steady and grounding. When the gallery owner called for attention, there was decorum in the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to present Zara Ashanti, an artist whose work has captivated the international art world in record time." Applause filled the room. Zara stepped forward, her voice steady. "Thank you all for being here. Months ago, I didn't think anyone would ever see my work. I was told I wasn't good enough, that I'd never make it." She glanced at Jae-Sung, who nodded encouragingly. "But someone saw something in me I couldn't see in myself, and that changed everything." More applause. The auction began. Zara's pieces sold for staggering amounts, far beyond what anyone expected. When the final gavel fell, Zara's total sales for the night exceeded $2 million. She was officially one of the most valuable emerging artists in the world. After the exhibition, Jae-Sung took her to the rooftop of his building. The city sprawled below them, a sea of lights stretching to the horizon. "I have something to tell you," Jae-Sung said. Zara turned to face him. "What is it?" "The Busan complex. It's going to host its first international ice hockey championship in 18 months, the World Junior Championships." Zara's eyes widened. "That's incredible. And I want you there, not just as the artist who created the pieces that hang in the facility, but as my partner in everything." Zara's breath caught. Jae-Sung, I'm in love with you, Zara Ashanti. His voice was steady, but his eyes were vulnerable. I didn't plan for this. I didn't expect it. But from the moment I saw you standing in that gallery, refusing to break even when the world was trying to crush you, I knew you were different. Tears streamed down Zara's face. You reminded me what strength looks like, Jae-Sung continued, what integrity looks like, what it means to stand up for what's right, even when it costs you everything. He took her hands. I love you. And I want to build this empire with you, not just the business, but a life, a future, everything. Zara's heart felt like it might burst. I love you too, she whispered. I've loved you since the night you stood up for me when no one else would. Jae-Sung pulled her into his arms and kissed her. It was soft, tender, full of promise. When they finally pulled apart, Zara was smiling through her tears. Does this mean I get to help design the art installations for the complex? She asked, her voice teasing. Jae-Sung laughed, a real, genuine laugh that lit up his entire face. You can design whatever you want. It's your canvas now. 6 months later, Busan, South Korea. The sports complex was finished. It was breathtaking, glass and steel rising against the ocean, modern architecture blending seamlessly with traditional Korean design elements, and throughout the facility, Zara's art. Massive installations exploring themes of resilience, unity, and the human spirit. Pieces that made visitors stop and stare, that made them feel something deep and true. The grand opening was a spectacle. Thousands of people, international media, dignitaries from across the world. Jae-Sung and Zara stood together at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, his family beside them, her mother flown in from Atlanta, tears of pride streaming down her face. This is for Busan, Jae-Sung said into the microphone, his voice carrying across the crowd. For the people who raised me. For the community that believed in me. This complex is yours, and it will stand as a testament to what we can achieve when we refuse to give up. The crowd erupted in cheers. Jae-Sung turned to Zara, took her hand and raised it high. And none of this would exist without this woman, Zara Ashanti, the most talented artist I've ever met, and the strongest person I know. More cheers, cameras flashing. They cut the ribbon together, and the crowd surged forward to explore the facility. That evening, after the chaos had settled, Jae-Sung took Zara to a quiet spot overlooking the ocean. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I have one more thing to ask you, Jae-Sung said. Zara turned to him, her heart racing. Jae-Sung dropped to one knee. In his hand was a ring, elegant, simple, perfect. Zara Ashanti, you walked into my life when I least expected it. You challenged me, you inspired me, you showed me what it means to be brave. His voice broke slightly. I don't want to spend another day without you. Marry me, build this life with me, take over the world with me. Zara didn't hesitate. Yes. Jae-Sung stood, slipped the ring onto her finger, and pulled her into his arms. They kissed as the sun set over the ocean, the sports complex glittering behind them, a monument to what they'd built together. 1 year later, Zara stood in the Busan sports complex, watching the World Junior Ice Hockey Championship finals. The arena was packed, 20,000 people cheering, flags waving, the energy electric. Hana Park was on the ice, playing for Team USA, her father watching from the VIP section with tears in his eyes. Beside Zara, Jae-Sung held her hand. They'd gotten married 3 months ago in a ceremony that blended Korean and African-American traditions. His family and hers coming together to celebrate a love that had defied every obstacle. Zara's art was now displayed in galleries across 3 continents. She'd launched a foundation to support emerging artists from underrepresented communities. Jae-Sung's empire had expanded. But more than that, he'd softened, smiled more, laughed more. Are you happy? He asked, leaning close so she could hear him over the crowd. Zara looked at him, this man who'd stood up for her when she had nothing, who'd believed in her when no one else did, who'd chosen her over everything. I've never been happier, she said. Good. Jae-Sung kissed her forehead. Because I plan on spending the rest of my life making sure it stays that way. The buzzer sounded. Team USA scored. The crowd erupted. Zara and Jae-Sung cheered, wrapped in each other's arms, surrounded by the empire they'd built together. Two people the world tried to break, two people who refused to bow, and a love story that proved that sometimes the greatest power isn't money or influence. It's choosing to stand beside someone when the world tells you to walk away. And yes, that's the end of Zara and Jae-Sung's story, family. From humiliation at an art gallery to building an empire together, what a journey. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a comment and tell me, what was your favorite moment? When Jae-Sung broke Sylvester's arm, when Zara saved his project with those paintings, or that proposal overlooking the ocean. And listen, if this story touched your heart, I need you to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. I've got more Afro-Korean romance coming your way, more powerful men who protect the women they love, more strong Black women who refuse to be broken. Your support keeps this channel alive, family. Every like, every comment, every share helps me bring you more stories like this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing in love stories that cross oceans and cultures. Until the next story, stay blessed, stay strong, and keep believing in your own power, because you're capable of more than you know.